Rapid City, Megan Pringle, WBAL-TV 11 News.
Good job, kids. That's all for us at 5 o'clock. Here's a look at what's coming up new at 6.
I'm Jane Miller. Questions about courthouse security. Allowing a defendant to have a gun inside the courthouse? You know who we're going to be talking about.
Lawmakers make changes to the governor's budget. Details straight ahead.
Shock and disappointment from students and faculty here at the University of Maryland College Park after a racist and sexist email surfaces allegedly written by someone at an off-campus fraternity. I'm Lowell Melser. I'll have the story coming up.
You're watching WBAL-TV 11. Live, local, late breaking. This is 11 News at 6 p.m.
Packing heat inside a courthouse. A recent court hearing in downtown Baltimore with a high-profile defendant has raised questions about security procedures. Good evening, everybody. I'm Kate Amara.
And I'm Stan Stovall. This week, Ravens Security Chief Darren Sanders headed to court to enter a plea of not guilty in a sexual assault case. I-Team lead investigative reporter Jane Miller is in the newsroom with why his trip to court is raising questions tonight. Jane?
Well, Stan, what happened yesterday exposes what many would consider to be special treatment at the courthouse. But only current and retired police officers get to take advantage, even if they're there as criminal defendants. Big signs are posted at the Mitchell Courthouse in Baltimore, no weapons allowed. But yesterday, when Ravens Security Chief Darren Sanders went to court, he's seen here on the right with the orange bow tie, sheriff's deputies allowed him to enter the building with the gun he wears, even though he was there to be arraigned on criminal charges. A court system spokesperson, in response to our questions, said that's the policy of the sheriff's department as it applies to current and retired police officers, regardless of whether they are charged with crimes. Sanders is a retired city officer. No such privilege is afforded the general public. Sanders is accused of a 4th-degree sex offense and 2nd-degree assault, all related to an alleged incident at M&T Bank Stadium in December. He has pleaded not guilty. Sanders does have a permit to carry a gun, according to the Ravens, but if it's a state permit, he could have trouble. That charge of 2nd-degree assault, according to state police, would require his state permit to be suspended and then revoked if he's convicted. State police, by the way, are no longer permitted to disclose who is permitted to carry a gun. They say that's the result of that new gun law in 2013. Reporting live tonight from the newsroom, I'm Jane Miller, WBAL-TV 11 News.
Thank you, Jane. Another fraternity investigation, this one happening in Maryland. The University of Maryland and Kappa Sigma say they're investigating an email sent by a student that was filled with racist and sexist language. 11 News reporter Lowell Melser is on the campus in College Park tonight with the story. Lowell.
Hey, Kate, it's still unclear at this point just how this email surfaced on social media as it was written more than a year ago, but university officials and officials with the Kappa Sigma fraternity confirmed that it was written by a member of that fraternity. That fraternity is off campus. It appears that the email was written to a group of friends about a party that had something to do with the fraternity's rush period. As students leave the University of Maryland College Park Friday for spring break, many are leaving with disappointment and disgust after an email peppered with racial slurs and sexist comments towards women surfaced.
It puts the university in a bad way, and it makes the other students look worse than they are, because I don't encounter anybody like that when I walk around campus and everyone in my classes.
I don't come across people like that in my day-to-day going across campus and the people I interact with, so it's pretty surprising that there are people like that here.
The email, which 11 News has obtained, contains racial epithets against African Americans, Asians, and people of Middle Eastern descent. It also makes grotesque sexual remarks against women. It is far too graphic to show in this report. It was allegedly written almost 15 months ago by an undergraduate student who was a member of the Kappa Sigma fraternity off campus.
To speak about rape like that, it's really disappointing, and it really shows how rude rape culture can be in some fraternities. Not saying that all fraternities are like that, and not saying that that one is all bad people, but it certainly exists, and it's a huge problem even today.
I believe everyone feels that it's very upsetting that this happened, because you would like to think that a lot of people would like to think that we're post-racial, racism and all that, but we still have far to go.
Students showed 11 News. Someone responded immediately after the email came out by painting this in front of the library, which was removed by the university. 11 News also tried to reach someone from the Kappa Sigma fraternity, but they called the police on us. Their national chapter responded with a statement saying in part, quote, "Upon learning of the email, the individual was immediately suspended pending an investigation. The individual subsequently submitted a letter of resignation from Kappa Sigma. The undergraduate chapter of the University of Maryland is also presently engaging in proceedings to formally expel the individual from Kappa Sigma," unquote. University officials also issued a statement saying, quote, "The vulgar language in the email expresses views that are reprehensible to our campus community. We immediately met with the individual involved, and a university investigation is currently underway, led by the Office of Civil Rights and Sexual Misconduct," unquote. Now, attempts to reach the author of the email, whose name we are not reporting, were unsuccessful this afternoon. It's also unclear whether this person remains a student here at the University of Maryland. We're live in College Park tonight. I'm Lowell Melser, WBAL TV 11 News.
Thank you, Lowell. New developments in the fraternity scandal at the University of Oklahoma. The local chapter there of Sigma Alpha Epsilon has now reportedly hired a high-profile attorney and is considering legal action against the school. The attorney says the frat is outraged over the university president's decision to shut down the frat house, on top of expelling the two students who have apologized for what they said in that now infamous video. The fraternity's lawyer says the entire fraternity should not be branded as racists based on the actions of those two students.
Well, more money for K through 12 education and pay raises for state workers. Those are just a couple of highlights of the budget decisions being made today in Annapolis. At this hour, a House committee is making significant changes to the governor's spending plan. 11 News reporter David Collins joins us live from the State House with more details. David.
Well, so far, the biggest change is in education funding, the amount of education funding, which is a Democratic priority.
A feeding frenzy. Everyone from special interests to concerned citizens vying for details of changes made to Governor Hogan's budget proposal.
The restoration of education funds, we're going to make it happen.
Let's start by reviewing our...
So far, the prediction is coming true. The House Appropriations Committee voted in favor of increasing funds to education. The Hogan administration wanted to set a new baseline for funding and reduce the rate of increases. The committee is set to make sure the 2% pay bump for state employees remains in place. The governor proposed eliminating it to shrink the budget deficit. The money comes from reducing contributions to the state worker pension fund. Also under consideration, slowing repayments to a local income tax reserve fund. The committee voted to adopt a 2.2% increase in funding for the developmentally disabled. The governor proposed a 1.75% increase.
And you're upset that we're not going to 3.5%. And I think that's really something you ought to talk to the governor about.
I don't hold the governor responsible. The governor didn't make the promise. We made the promise.
The committee rejected an administration proposal to use slot community impact grant money for education. The committee sent a strong message to state agencies. Many face a reduction in spending until they address repeat audit findings. The committee agreed to decrease police aid to local jurisdictions.
I will not do that.
And to reduce the cap on film tax credits. Last year, the House of Cards production threatened to leave if it wasn't increased. In an effort to get the State Center project off the shelf, state lawmakers are demanding a status report.
This is not a new project. It's been going on for some time, and we just felt that, we needed to get answers.
The governor issued a statement saying, in part, there are concerns about certain proposals in the committee's recommendations. I believe we're headed in the right direction overall. And he added, ultimately, the budget process will not be complete without meaningful discussion on tax relief. Reporting live from Annapolis, David Collins, WBAL-TV 11 News.
Thank you, David. Just 2 months in, and Governor Hogan has put a lot into his charter school bill. In fact, he's made it one of his top priorities. But some parts of that proposal are running into opposition from a number of teachers' unions. And one of those unions commissioned a poll to hear what voters are saying about charter schools. 11 News education reporter Tim Tootin has that story. Tim.
Well, Kate, the poll backed by the Maryland chapter of the American Federation of Teachers is focused on school spending, but the group is also turning its attention toward public charter schools.
So would you...
The majority of Maryland's charter schools operate in Baltimore City. Schools like City Neighbors in Northeast Baltimore,
What color does it see?
a school with a 10-year track record of academic progress. And while school leaders there have been keeping an eye on the politics, they say they're more focused on the results.
Done. This is about getting results for kids, and we need all hands on deck. So, yes, we need to make it so that charter schools can do their best work, and the restrictions of the policies and guidelines they're too much.
But the teachers union says it wanted to find out what voters were saying. A DC-based firm called Hart Research Associates polled more than 600 voters in Baltimore City, Anne Arundel County, Prince George's County, and Montgomery County. They found that 43% of voters want current charter school rules and regulations to stay in place. 33% felt just the opposite and would like to see fewer regulations. 24% of voters were unsure.
Our poll tells us that the public is more interested in education funding than they are in lowering taxes, and that they want oversight over these charter schools. Not that they want more, but they want oversight over the charter schools.
The charter school poll goes on to identify where the majority of support is coming from for more government oversight in the four school systems. For weeks now, Governor Larry Hogan has made it clear he'll fight to add more teeth into the state's charter school law.
Let's put aside the rhetoric and the politics and just come together and do the right thing for the sake of our children's future.
Back at City Neighbors Charter School, leaders say instead of waiting for an outcome at Annapolis, they'll continue to keep children as their #1 priority.
Well, it's bigger than a poll, and it's important to be focused on what's working. And what's working is a school where people have the power to design and create and implement great public education for Baltimore City children.
And so far, there have been 2 hearings on the charter school bill backed by the governor. If the legislation becomes law, the new changes will go into effect this fall. Live in the studio, Tim Tootin, WBAL-TV 11 News.
All right, Tim, thank you very much. Well, an American healthcare worker is beginning treatment for the Ebola virus at a hospital in Washington, D.C., or actually here in Maryland. An American health worker got the Ebola virus while working overseas. That worker has not been identified, but we do know the person is in serious condition, contracted it while volunteering in Sierra Leone. And tonight, the patient is undergoing treatment at the National Institutes of Health in Montgomery County, Maryland. The Centers for Disease Control says at least one other person was exposed to the virus. That individual will be placed in voluntary isolation in Atlanta. The World Health Organization estimated Thursday that this latest outbreak of the Ebola virus has killed more than 10,000 people worldwide.
I'm Sally Kidd in Washington. The president pledges more help for veterans as he visits a scandal-plagued VA hospital, but some veterans groups are skeptical.
Maryland starts tournament play tonight. Des Wells explains the stakes later in sports.
The weekend's on the way, and so is some rain. It's going to get wet here tonight and tomorrow. We'll track that system and check out the 7-day forecast coming up.
Sky Team 11 with Captain Roy Taylor, covering breaking news and traffic from the sky. Only on WBAL-TV 11 News.
The White House is forming a new advisory committee devoted to improving the Department of Veterans Affairs.
Yeah, today the president visited the Phoenix VA hospital, the hospital at the center of that health scandal last year. Sally Kidd is in Washington, D.C. with the story.
Stan, the president's visit is meant to reassure veterans, but critics are asking, where are the reforms he promised? It was the epicenter of the VA healthcare scandal, the Phoenix hospital where veterans faced chronic delays in care. Workers falsified waiting lists to cover it up, and managers looked the other way.
There have been significant problems at this facility. That the kind of cooking the books and unwillingness to face up to the fact that veterans were not being adequately served.
President Obama, criticized for driving by the hospital while in Arizona earlier this year, met with veterans at the facility today to reiterate his promise of reform.
There is still more work to do, and this discussion allowed us to hone in on some problems that continue to crop up.
Last year's scandal prompted the resignation of then VA Secretary Eric Shinseki, and Congress approved a $10 billion system overhaul. Some veterans groups say they are not seeing any progress and criticize the president's visit as just another photo op.
Veterans are still suffering, and the status quo is not working. So until we see systemic reform all the way throughout the VA in the health side, we're not going to see change. And so far, we haven't seen any of that.
Now, moving forward, the president wants to set up a new advisory committee to look for additional ways to improve the system. In Washington, Sally Kidd, WBAL-TV 11 News.
Now, your 11 InstaWeather Plus forecast with Chief Meteorologist Tom Tasselmeyer.
We have some rain on the way for this weekend, but 22 years ago, we were shoveling out from a big storm. It was a superstorm. It came all the way up from the Gulf Coast, roared through the Mid-Atlantic and Northeast with some impressive weather statistics. It was snow all the way down into northern Alabama, and not only snow, but there were severe thunderstorms producing 11 tornadoes and 200 fatalities with this storm as it rumbled up the eastern seaboard. Dropped the barometer at BWI Marshall Airport to 28.51 inches, and up until Superstorm Sandy, that was the lowest barometric pressure on record for that location. And there was a bunch of snow, too, as you can see, almost a foot of snow at BWI Marshall, accompanied with 50-mile-an-hour wind gusts, blizzard conditions. Owings Mills picked up almost 17 inches, and out in western Maryland, almost 4 feet of snow, 47 inches from one superstorm on this day back in 1993. Now, today, well, we had some clouds moving in, but the temperatures were chilly, not up to the normal level of 53, but certainly nothing like that big storm a couple decades ago. 28 for the low so far, 12 the record low set back in 1888. Around the region tonight, we see temperatures in the low 40s on the coast, some low 50s on the shore, and then 51 at Hancock, 41 though at Oakland. So temperatures kind of all over the place. And there is some rain moving in. Initially, as this rain moves in, the atmosphere is dry, so the first raindrops are going to dry up. And just like when you step out of the pool or step out of the shower and that evaporative cooling takes place, you feel chilly. The atmosphere is going to get chilly as this first rain moves in. Temperatures will drop into the upper 30s for most areas and then start to rebound as the winds come around to the south and southeast overnight. And that southerly breeze tomorrow will get us above normal, probably upper 50s to maybe near 60 as the warm air associated with this storm tries to push into the mid-Atlantic. But there's a lot of rain associated with it too, and so it's going to be kind of a wet start to the weekend, probably even into tomorrow night. We'll be dealing with at least a few showers, not really completely tapering off until sometime later Saturday evening. When this storm leaves, although it will briefly warm us up tomorrow, it's going to get chilly. Probably cold enough for some snow in the mountains off to the west of us. Some accumulating snows are possible in Garrett County, the higher ridge tops up in West Virginia. So warming up on Saturday with rain, clearing out and turning chilly on Sunday. Highs tomorrow from 57 to 62. Winds out of the south averaging 5 to 10 miles an hour. Saturday morning sunrise at 7:21. Western Maryland goes from rain to snow Saturday into Sunday as some chilly air moves in. Central part of the state, wouldn't be surprised if a sprinkle or flurry pops up on Sunday, but for the most part, temperatures in the mid-40s. 58 on the shore tomorrow, 53 on Sunday, and along the Maryland and Delaware beaches. Rain is likely tomorrow, a little sunshine on Sunday. After tomorrow's rain moves out, temperatures on Sunday will be cooler than normal, but we're right back to 60 Monday, 50 on St. Patrick's Day with showers, below normal temperatures through the middle and end of next week.
From the Toyota Sports Center, this is 11 Sports.
Well, if Selection Sunday is a couple days away, that means things start getting serious right about now at spring training. And for Ubaldo Jimenez, he's hoping to be selected for the Orioles rotation at the start of the season in just a few weeks. So far this spring, it has been a mixed bag for Ubaldo, and today followed the same script. Some good, some bad, and in the end, a loss for the big right-hander. But it was a beautiful day in Dunedin, Florida. Orioles and Blue Jays, top of the second. This is Henry Urrutia. He comes through for the Birds, a double to right center. That will bring home Caleb Joseph, 2-0 Baltimore early in Grapefruit League play today. But in the bottom half of the inning, things do go south for Ubaldo. This is former Oriole Chris Dickerson at the plate, and he will lace a double down the right field line. That will score Kevin Pillar and Danny Valencia 3-2 Toronto. Then in the 6th inning, Danny Valencia steps up to the plate, another former Oriole. He hits it back up the middle for the base hit. It drives in Steve Tollison, yet another former Bird, and Kevin Pillar score. Jays win it 5-2. The Orioles are now 3-9 in Grapefruit League play. Well, if you're just waking up to the college basketball season in this area, start drinking your coffee and notice the Maryland Terrapins. They're good and relevant for the first time in 5 years. And tonight, they embark on their first Big Ten tournament in Chicago. The Terps enter play tonight a 2 seed in the Big Ten tournament. They have Indiana at the United Center. Maryland has a shot at the Big Ten tournament title. But big picture, it's all about the NCAA tournament. The Terps are probably a 3 seed. A few wins in Chicago could bump them to a 2 seed. And we know Maryland will be dancing again at the end of next week. But Des Wells says they still have a lot to play for.
The window of opportunity is very small at this point, so you have to, all the mistakes and all the little mistakes and stuff, they can cost you a game, you know, because now it's like win or go home. So for that, you know, you just go out and play and perform like you've been doing and continue to prepare and put pressure on yourself to prepare for each and every game.
Wisconsin taking on Michigan in the early game today in the Windy City. Wisconsin took a lead into the half, but Michigan on the comeback trail. Zach Irvin misses, but freshman Aubrey Dawkins with the follow. Wolverines up 42-41, but Wisconsin comes right back. This is Dookie Duhan. He slams it home. Badgers up 54-51. Later in the half, Frank Kaminsky misses, but he gets the rebound. Then check out this pass. In the end, he finds Sam Decker for the 3. Good. Wisconsin beats Michigan by 11. They have Purdue tomorrow. Stay with us. Tom has your soggy forecast coming up next.
Well, here's a look at what we're working on for 11 News tonight. Revelers and spring breakers all gearing up for area St. Patrick's Day celebrations. The steps local authorities are taking to keep everyone safe. And a fight over school funding is putting 2 areas of Baltimore County at odds. We'll have those stories and more tonight on the 11 News right after Dateline NBC.
Stella Maris, Baltimore's choice for over 60 years.
Coming up at 7, the lottery winner who really blew it. He lost his ticket. Then imagine sending a mean tweet about the president and then seeing the president read it on national TV. Inside Edition right here on WBAL-TV 11.
Today is getting a jump on mornings, bringing you an extra half hour of late-breaking local news. Weekdays starting at 4:30 a.m. on WBAL-TV 11.
It's been overcast all day. I guess the rain soon to follow.
Here comes the rain right behind that increasing cloudiness, and the rain continues off and on tonight through the day tomorrow. Tapers off tomorrow evening. So make your plans to do stuff inside tomorrow. Hopefully get outside on Sunday, although it's going to be chilly, 47 degrees, a little sun mixed in with the clouds. Right back to 60 Monday and some showers for St. Patrick's Day.
Very nice. All right. Thanks for joining us. NBC Nightly News is next.
Have a good night.
Closed captioning is presented by Luna.
With Luna, get